and presented in such a didactic way. So if we need a break of 5 minutes presentation, so we can be here by 5 minutes with our next presentation. It was so extensively covered. Ah, 5 minutes. Strictly 5 minutes. We'll be starting in 5 minutes, the next presentation. थोड़ा खड़े भी हो जाओ. And laser surgeon in Bhopal.
And on the behalf of ACCM, I welcome all our invitees today for this Roentgen scientific meet. And thanks Manish as well as Dr. Rajesh for their elaborate presentation. I am going to present how to read CT scan of abdomen. So my first question to all of you, can a clinician interpret the abdominal radiograph like a radiologist? Anyone? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So answer is yes. From my side, the answer is yes. We can interpret the abdominal radiograph like a radiologist because we know the basic pathology and abdominal films, recognize normal findings on skygram of the abdomen, and use of our knowledge for normal findings to identify the abnormal findings. And last is to recognize the most common abnormal findings in skygram of abdomen. And this is a very beautiful photograph of skygram of abdomen. When in 1900, the machine which is in front of the patient, it was generating the X-rays. And because there was no film cassettes, everything was not available, the physician used to stand or sit behind the patient and he directly tried to visualize the X-rays. So the entire X-ray exposure coming to the patient and onto the doctor's face at that time. We are saying Xerox for photocopy. So anyway, this X-ray chest and X-ray abdomen has been taken synonymously with this diagram of the chest as well as abdomen. And we have already covered this thing. The tissue density, bone is hyperdense as well as gas is less dense, very less dense. So there are various ways to read the abdominal skygrams, starting from mnemonics A, B, C, D, E, F, or we can go from inside to outside, or we can go from outside to inside. But anyway, we have to cover this. This is my outline to read the abdominal skygram. Patient detail, projection, technical qualities, obvious abnormalities which we can find immediately seeing the skygram of the abdomen. Then we have to do the systemic review of our radiograph studies, and after that we have to summarize our findings. So we have already covered this patient detail, full name, age, date of birth, gender, hospital numbers, date and time taken for taking these diagrams. It should be mentioned in the film. Then something about the projection for skygram of abdomen, erect position, supine position as well as decubitus position. Three positions are very important. Erect positions is important because skygram of abdomen depends upon the concept of air, because air rises. And sometimes those patients who are unfit for taking the skygram because of suspected perforation peritonitis or something else, we can have the skygrams in decubitus position. So this is the concept of air rises. We'll discuss in details. So skygram of the abdomen is always taken in AP positions. Means X-ray machine is generating anteriorly and we are keeping the cassettes or films behind the patient. This is lateral incubatus positions, keeping the machines anteriorly, keeping the patient in lateral decubitus position, and the films in position posterior to the patient. Now regarding the technical quality for skygram, that it must include both the lobe of diaphragm up to the pubic tubercle as well as symphysis pubis. And it is not required particularly for taking the skygram of KOB, kidney, ureter or bladder. Any comment regarding the quality of this skygram? Yes, Archana? This is a good quality or bad quality? Yeah, number one. Sometimes we can see the source shadows, sometimes we cannot shot there. Yes, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Loya, that both the diaphragms is not included in this skygram, the abdomen, as well as this pubic tubercle, as well as the symphysis pubis. This is the right lateral position or left lateral position? It is a decubitus position, definitely. Anyone? Yes. Why it is left? Yeah. Because we can see the just upper side of this. This is the basically, no, it is not working basically. This is the lever shape. So this is the left lateral decubitus position. Now next point is obvious abnormalities. What we can find in the skygram of the abdomen, just immediately looking over these skygrams. 4 important things. First is pneumoperitoneum, second is fluid air level, third is volvulus, and fourth one is masses, side shape, texture, size, intensity, etc. So coming to the pneumoperitoneum, the air may be inside the abdomen, which is called free air inside the abdomen. This will create pneumoperitoneum. The air may be present in the retroperitoneal space through greater sac to the lesser sacs through foramen of Winslow. So retroperitoneal air. Air may be present in the bowel wall, which is called pneumomatosis intestinalis, which is a very rare phenomenon. And sometimes we can see the air in the biliary systems, which we can often see just after the ERCPs and creating air in the hepatobiliary system, which is called as pneumobilia. For taking the skygram in upright positions, the best way is to do that patient should be positioned sitting upright for at least 10 to 15 minutes, because the concept of air rises. And these allow free intra-abdominal air to rise up, forming a crescent beneath the diaphragm. And it is said that 1 ml of air gas can be detected in this way. Sometimes we cannot keep the patient in upright position because of perforation peritonitis. What usually we do as a surgeons, we are putting the rice tube, we are injecting about 100 ml of air, and after giving the 100 ml of air or 150 ml of air, we are taking the skygrams. And in this condition, we can introduce the air inside the stomach and we can get the free air if it is there below the right lobe of diaphragms. So these are the causes, different causes of free airs, like perforated peptic ulcer, which is a very common pathology. Mostly we are seeing pre-pyloric perforation, which is very common, part of it, duodenal ulcers, then in cases of trauma, then in cases of perforated diverticulitis, gas air. These air present usually 5 to 10 days inside the abdomen. And in the era of laparoscopic surgeries, nowadays we are routinely doing laparoscopic surgeries. So these free airs remains inside the abdomen for at least 10 to 12 days. So one should not be confused with this thing, with the perforation peritonitis. Yeah. Okay. So these are the different signs of free airs. When I was preparing this slides for today's presentation, the literature has mentioned about 15 signs which can be detected through skygram of the abdomen. As I was doing post-graduation, I was aware of the 3/4 signs during my PG's days. This is very long, and we are going to cover through our different skygrams, photographs, lesser sex signs. This is very common sign. This is called crescent signs. Just like moon, we can see the air beneath the right dome of diaphragm. We should not be confused with the free gear below the left dome of diaphragm, because sometimes, mostly it is because of gastric bubble. Another photograph showing the free air below the right dome of diaphragm. On the left side, you can see the gastric bubble. Now this is called regular signs. What is this sign? This sign usually presents when the amount of excess free air inside the abdomen is too much. Usually, in cases of perforation peritonitis, if we can see the gut, we can see the only one bulb of the gut. But when the free air is too much, if we can able to see the both the side of the bowel, this is one side of the bowel, this is another side of the bowel, and because of the free air which is present extraluminally on both the sides, this sign is called regular signs. On the right side, we can see the regular signs. Regular sign is also called as double wall signs. Another photograph showing the regular signs. Now this is another sign. This is called as football signs. When excess amount of air is present inside the abdomen, and this excess amount of air will shows the just like the appearance of football. And this is falciform ligament signs. We can see the very thin streak hypertense structures on the right side of the abdomen. This is falciform ligament. And again, it is a very rare phenomenon. When there is an excess amount of free air inside the abdomen, we can see this continuous diaphragm signs. We can see the free air inside the below the right dome of diaphragm, as well as below the left dome of diaphragm, as well as below the central tendon of the diaphragm. So this is called continuous diaphragm sign. As I have already mentioned regarding the lesser sex signs, that sometimes gases pass from the greater sac to the lesser sac through foramen of Winslow, and sometimes we can see this. We can appreciate this hyperdense lesion. This will show this free air. So this will be lesser sex sign, and then on the left side we can see the cupola sign. Cupola is a basically word derived from the dome of a building. So sometimes we can have that air is superior to the left lobe of liver, and the diaphragm is raised just like a dome of any building. So this sign is called cupola sign. So it was derived from one of the building of Florence, cupola sign. So something about the retroperitoneal air. As we know that psoas muscles, kidney, ureter, border of these structures, we can have a sticky linear appearance in the skygram of the abdomen, which will be denoting the retroperitoneal air. I have a few photographs. And the causes of retroperitoneal air is because of the bowel perforation, particularly at the IC junction, which is a fixed part, posterior part of the appendix, colonic perforations, trauma particularly especially from the back sides, iatrogeny, could be because of foreign body, could be because of gas producing infection. So in this slide we can see that arrow at the uppermost part, there that the patient will to the lateral border of the right kidney. And on the left side we can see the regular signs. So upper sign is at the upper part of this slide, we are having the air around the lateral border of the right kidney. So this is the free air in the retroperitoneal space, in the hepatobiliary systems. Now coming to the gas pattern in a normal finding situations. Gas is always present in the stomach, it is always present in the rectum, it is always present in the sigmoid colon. In small bowel loops, if 2 or 3 loops are present with the air, usually these are the normal findings in skygram. When it is more than 2 to 3, it has got some significance. Then regarding the small bowel and large bowel, small bowels are centrally placed and mucosal folds are present. These mucosal folds are called valvular conventins, which are present from one side of the bowel to the another side of the bowel wall. Basically, these are the continuous mucosal folds. While on the colon, these mucosal folds are called haustra, and this doesn't extend from wall to wall. And these large bowels are present peripherally. Now coming to this slide, what we can see, that we can see in the uppermost part in the area of stomach ruchi, free gas present in the stomach. Then we can see the free gas present in the colon, and we can see on the right side some fecality in the ascending colon. So basically this is a normal bowel gas pattern in the normal skygram of the abdomen. And coming to the this abnormal gas pattern, it could be because of the ileus. Ileus could be localized ileus or it could be generalized ileus. In generalized ileus, we are going to see the dilated, we are going to see the small bowel as well as large bowel. But in localized ileus, particularly suppose if patient is having pancreatitis or cholecystitis or appendicitis, we are going to see the 1 or 2 loop particularly localized to that particular organ. So these loops are basically called as sentinel loops. And mechanical obstruction could be intraluminal as well as extraluminal, which can produce small bowel obstruction as well as large bowel obstruction. So here in this slide we can see that 1 or 2 percentage dilated loops in the upper part, and it is because of maybe due to pancreatitis. We can see the gas in the rectum, and these are the causes of sentinel loops, cholecystitis in right upper quadrant, pancreatitis in the left upper quadrant, appendicitis in the right lower quadrant, and because of diverticulitis we can have 1 or 2 loops in the left lower quadrant. In generalized ileus, which is we can see mostly in post-operative patients or sometimes after abdominal surgeries. It can be due to because of the electrolyte imbalance, particularly after hypokalemia or in DKA. We can see the small bowel as well as large bowel, and these bowels shows a long air fluid level. So we can differentiate this paralytic ileus with the small bowel obstruction as well as large bowel obstruction. The This is the generalized adynamic alias. The large and small bubbles are extremely air-filled but not dilated, which is very important. And the large as well as small bubbles, we can see that both the bubble loops are looking like same. Now coming to the obstruction, there is a simple funda of 3, 6 and 9. The maximum diameter for small bubble is 3 centimeter, for large bubble is 6 centimeter, and for the cecum is 9 centimeter. If the diameter of small bubble is more than 3 centimeter, and if the diameter of the large bubble is more than 6 centimeter, or if the diameter of the cecum is more than 9 centimeter, something significance is. We should think over the obstruction. And this is the step ladder pattern obstruction, which is a characteristic of small bowel obstruction. What we can see here is, on the upper part we can see the air bubbles, stomach, and then air in the dilated segments. This small bowel obstruction is, we can see that it is centrally placed. So this is the characteristic of small bowel obstruction, step ladder pattern. Another slide, step ladder pattern obstruction. This is coil spring sign that we can see. This is also called as coin sign, because we can see in this photograph that the mucosal folds are present from one wall to the another wall. So this is basically dilated small bowel, because the diameter of this small bowel is more than 3 centimeter. Another skygram of the abdomen showing the dilated small gut more than 3 centimeter. Another photograph, spring sign, more than 3 centimeter, small gut obstruction. Now this is the X-ray of large bowel obstruction. We can see the dilated small gut as well as large gut. But below we can see that mucosal folds are not from one wall to the other side of the wall. In the upper segment we can see this type of pictures. And these, basically these are the dilated colon, and the diameter is more than 6 centimeter. So definitely this is large gut obstruction. So these are the mucosal folds called as Hostra, 7 centimeter, large bowel obstruction. 6.5 centimeter, supine as well as upright skygrams, large bowel obstruction. In fact, I have not included the pediatric obstruction or pediatric skygram of the abdomen. But one should know, this is very important, particularly in neonates. This is called duodenal atresia, double bubble sign. Now coming to the volvulus, which is very important, and one should know two type of volvulus. Important. First is cecal volvulus, second is sigmoid volvulus. Now, how to differentiate between cecal volvulus and sigmoid volvulus? Volvulus occurs because of the rotation of the mesentery. If we can able to see in skygram of the abdomen, there is a gas shadow in the right iliac fossa, if it is present, definitely it will show that the cecum is there. And if the dilated loops are going towards the right upper quadrant and giving tire loop appearance or coffee bean size type of signs, so basically this is a characteristic of sigmoid volvulus. In cases of cecal volvulus, the direction can be anywhere. It can go up to the right upper quadrant, it can go up to the left upper quadrant. So on this right side we can see this, on the left side from our side, that is the cecal volvulus, and on the right side that is the sigmoid volvulus. This is the characteristic of sigmoid volvulus, coffee bean sign, or we can call it as a tire loop sign. And this is the lateral decubitus of skygram showing hernia. We can see, although we are not going for routinely for hernia cases, decubitus skygram, that we can see there is a loop which is present in the parietal wall and showing the gases. And this sign is called thumb printing signs. It is because of the thickness of haustral folds, and it occurs because of the chronic inflammations. So it is just like thumb prints. So this sign is called as thumb printing sign. Yes, this is very important. This is called lead pipe colon sign because, and it is particularly present in ulcerative colitis patients, and it is because of the loss of ostration because of chronic inflammation. We can see that ostration folds are not there. So this is lead pipe sign in colon. So till now we have completed the gases. Now coming to the organs. Although skygram, we should not comment on the organs because skygram is poor for organs and better modalities are available like ultrasound as well as CT scan of the abdomen. But at least we should know, we can interpret something about the size of the liver, kidneys, spleen. So how to identify the organ size? Yes, this is very important. This is called lead pipe colon sign because, and it is particularly present in ulcerative colitis patients, and it is because of the loss of ostration because of chronic inflammation. We can see that ostration folds are not there. So this is lead pipe sign in colon. So till now we have completed the gases. Now coming to the organs. Although skygram, we should not comment on the organs because skygram is poor for organs and better modalities are available like ultrasound as well as CT scan of the abdomen. But at least we should know, we can interpret something about the size of the liver, kidneys, spleen. So how to identify the organ size? Of the ages of the organ, particularly liver, kidney, spleen, and second we can assess by the displacement of the bowel. Edge of the liver, left upper border, we can see the spleen, right kidney, left kidney, and normal gas is present in the colon as well as some radio-opaque clip-like structures. So most probably it's a post-cholecystectomy, laparoscopic post-cholecystectomy skygram of the abdomen. And these are the clips, basically titanium clips, which we can very well appreciate in the skygram of abdomen. Now here we can very well appreciate the margins of the left kidney, T12 to L3. And we can very well appreciate the sauce margin as well as sauce shape on the left side. This is the bladder territory, soft tissue shadow in the pelvis. Sauce edge, we can very well appreciate in this skygram the sauce shadow from L1. Now so far we have covered the gases, organs. Now coming to the stones, calculi. Gallstones, renal, ureteric, bladder, phlebolith, pancreatic calcification. For gallstones, skygram is poor because 90% of stones are radiolucent. We cannot see gallbladder stones in the skygram of the abdomen. What is this? Yes, Archana? This is gallbladder stones or renal stones? or calcification. Yes. Yeah. If suppose in the skygram, if you can appreciate the gallstones, if the patient is having radio opaque, how to differentiate between gallstones and kidney stones in skygram of the abdomen? Lateral, yes. We should take the lateral view. So importance of lateral view in the skygram of the abdomen is also there. This is pancreatic calcification. In the pancreatic territory, gallstones, although very rare, only we can see in 10% cases. Bladder calculi, phlebolith, yes. So how to differentiate between phlebolith and ureteric calculi? Anyone? Central lucency. While in cases of ureteric calculi, we will see the lucency around the hypertense structure. This is the way to differentiate between ureteric calculi and the phlebolith. Now coming to the bones. So we should look for lower ribs, spines, pelvic bone, sacroiliac joints, right hip joints, left hip joints, right femur as well as left hip and coccyx. This is metastatic deposits in the axial pelvis, in pubic bones, osteoporotic bone. We can see that left femur bone. Scoliosis. And last is foreign bodies. We can very well see these rise tubes. Yeah, Phillips rings, everything, claims, everything. And coming to the foreign bodies, coin in the stomach, or it can be in the gut also. On the right side, what we can see? What is this? There is a radio opaque shadow in the pelvic cavity. There is a very interesting story behind this skygram of the abdomen. Yes, it is a foreign body. A young boy presented to me in the evening hours in my OPD, and patient was very restless, and he was not telling me the whole story, but मुझको कुछ दर्द हो रहा है. When I started examining, I found some blood clots around the perianal regions as well as over the thighs. As a dictum for surgeons, one should always do PR examination. अभी तक भी मरीज ने मेरे को कुछ भी नहीं बताया था कि उसको क्या हुआ है. When I have done the PR examination, what 500, I could able to feel some metallic ring at the tip of my index finger. So basically, it's a deodorant water which was present in the rectum. So basically, it was foreign body. I tried to remove per rectally, tried doing sigmoidoscopy, but unfortunately, because of the edema was so much there, I could not able to retrieve through anal canal or through anal orifice. But I did this laparotomy and removed from colon. So this was all about how to read skygram of the abdomen. We should know patient detail, projection, technical qualities, obvious abnormalities, systemic review of radiograph should be done, and finally we should summarize our findings. And take home point is always, name radiological signs are always useful for way of remembering, identifying and reporting on films. We should study more cases and more cases, more practice. Now I have a certain question for all of you. These are 13 questions. And the person who is going to answer all 13 questions will get the lifetime membership free of cost from Academy of Critical Care Medicines. So what is this? Yes, because Dr. Bhagchandani has already mentioned, Chilaiditi sign is because we can confuse with the gas in the right lobe of diaphragm with the perforation peritonitis, but we can see these mucosal folds. Basically, these are intraluminal gas present below the right dome of diaphragm, and these chillatity signs is present mostly in cirrhotic patients because the size of the liver spans become reduced and hyperinflammation of the lung as well as flattening of the diaphragm. Sometimes bowel get instruct below the right dome of diaphragm, and this can give rise this chillatity signs. Yes. Next question is. This is cecal volvulus, large gut obstruction, small bowel obstructions, or bowel perforation. Yes, absolutely right. Next question is, yes, this is very important. See the X-rays and diagnose. Sigmoid volvulus, normal, ascites, or small bowel obstruction. Yes, Loya sir is here.
This could be low grade small bowel obstruction. Low grade, I say.
Because we cannot able to see that dilated nerves. Yes.
But
Yes.
gases that are there are also.
Yeah, it's very difficult to predict on just simply the skygram. Somebody told about this ascites. Why it is ascites? It descended to ठीक है. It is not descended. Yes. Basically, the answer for particularly this slide is ascites. Why this is ascites? The bowel loops are clustered centrally and there is increased density, whiteness over the whole abdomen. The gas fluid bowel loops are floating in the water fluid abdomen. These are the typical X-ray features of ascites. Although ultrasound is the best modality, but if you have been asked to answer the question on skygram, the answer is ascites. Now next question, yes. What is the cause of the area of calcification in this image? Yes. This was a simple question. Now next question. What answer best describes the X-ray findings? This is cecal volvulus, sigmoid volvulus, small bowel obstruction or perforation? Why it is cecal? Why it is cecal? Yes, answer is cecal. Why it is cecal? It could be sigmoid volvulus. Yes, because there is no bowel in the right iliac fossa. This is the classical cecal volvulus. The best clue that this is cecal volvulus is that no large bowel is seen in the right iliac fossa. A massively dilated segment of bowel is seen in the upper abdomen. Its segmented shape indicates it is large bowel and not the stomach. Next question. What is the cause of the area of increased density in the pelvis? Calcified pelvic kidney, calcified abdominal lymph nodes, calcified fibroids, or ingested barium? Yes. Why it is fibroid? It could be ingested barium. Rightly pointed out what that. Yeah. This is characteristic of fibroids. Uterine fibroids. Now question 6. The patient had a history of abdominal surgery 7 years ago and presented with a 24 hours history of severe abdominal pain and vomiting. In this sitting, which answer best describes the X-ray appearance? Small bowel obstruction, post-operative ileus, normal or perforation? Why? Yeah, because of adhesion. Because of adhesion. There is no evidence of extraluminal gas to suggest perforation, and there is a history of surgery. Next question. If you saw these X-rays appearance in the setting of acute abdominal pain, what is the most appropriate course of action? Place an abdominal drain, request abdominal ultrasound, request abdominal MRI, resuscitate the patient and inform your surgeon. Answer is yes, because it's a case of perforation peritoneum. Now next question. What are the artifacts visible? Central and navel jewelry, catheter and surgical clips, gastrotomy tube and surgical clips, catheter and ingested foreign body. Yes, anybody from the left side? Yes. Yes, we can see the catheter tip, and basically this is navel chief. The artifacts seen centrally is the typical appearance of belly bar, navel jewelry. Next question. Which answer best describes the X-ray findings? Normal, ascites, psoas abscess, small bowel obstruction. Very good skygram. Yes. 4 answers. Normal, ascites, psoas abscess and small bowel obstruction. For psoas abscess, the margin should be obliterated. Who told? No. Yes, it's a normal X-ray. Psoas abscess may cause loss of definition of the psoas line, but the X-ray cannot be used to make the diagnosis reliably. The source of water are normal in this image. Next question. What is the answer? Yes. Answer is sigmoid volvulus. Next question. What is this? Bowel obstruction, bowel wall, thumb printing, cecal volvulus or perforation? Yes? Anybody from the left side? We can see the free gas below the right dome of diaphragm. So basically it was a case of perforation by looking like this. Yes, answer for this question. Bowel wall thumb printing, perforation, large bowel obstruction or small bowel obstruction? Yes, I have already demonstrated. All the X-rays from my presentation is one. Like Dr. Bhaji. Bowel wall. Yes, anybody from the left side? We can see the free gas below the right dome of diaphragm. So basically it was a case of perforation by looking like this. Yes, answer for this question. Bowel wall thumb printing, perforation, large bowel obstruction or small bowel obstruction? Yes, I have already demonstrated. All the X-rays from my presentation is one. Like Dr. Bhaji. Bowel wall. What is the opinion of the audience? Should we go for this thing or should I complete the out? It will take half an hour. I will try to be very fast. Okay, I will try to be very fast. We want to complete this session before lunch. Very fast. CT scan like a radiologist?
Yes.
No, for in CT scan, we can come to know that because we are not a trained radiologist. So my answer will be for this no. So something we are going to cover the CT anatomy, abdomen and take home message. And with everybody knows that in CT scan we take the series of X-ray and then computer process it and to form a CT scan film. Terminology is hyperdense, more dense, isodense, when the abnormality is the same density as the reference structures, hypodense when an abnormality is less dense than the reference structures. Hounsfield units, basically this is the CT units, and we take as CSF as 0 units, and CSF is equivalent to water. So water at CSF is 0, and the bone is plus 1000 and air is minus 1000. This is basically radio units for scan, and all these things come between minus 1000 to 1000, plus 1000. Attenuation value, high attenuation value because of absorption of X-ray photon and it presented as white on image. Live attenuation value because of the free passage of photon, so is it presented as black on image. The scanogram. Now what is this? On the right side, because this pointer is not working. Anyone? Whenever we observe this CT film, something is present on the right side of the CT film. Yes, this is the basically level of slice. It is used to displace the slice equation. Here, this photograph, we can see that this axial or transverse image was taken at the level of pelvis. So it will be mentioned on the right side of the film. Windowing, as already mentioned by the Dr. Manish, that there will be windows for bony windows, soft tissue windows, different windows to take the CT scan film. Something about the contrast enhanced scan. Why there is need to give iodine contrast to a patient. Important thing is that to increase the density of blood vessels as well as organs, to differentiate between lymph nodes and blood vessels, and more important thing is abnormal lesions in solid organs become easier to distinguish from normal surrounding parenchyma. So that's why CT abdomen with contrast is always required, except few conditions. This is the on the right side, on the left side we can see without contrast. On the right side we can see with the contrast. In the this is non-enhanced CT. Basically, for detection of, especially in the calculus in the kidneys as well as ureters and sometimes in CVDs. Non-enhanced CT is done, and especially for calcification of liver, pancreas, fat in liver tumors, fat in adrenal adenomas or myelolipoma. What is this? This is transfer or axial scan of the abdomen. And second thing is basically this is without contrast. So what is this? Yes, this is basically right renal calculus. So in three-phase CT, there are three phases: arterial phase, second is portovenous phase, and third is delayed phase, part of a nephrogenic phase or hepatic phase. So in arterial phase, after giving the immediate bolus, we take the films. And the indication for taking the early arterial phase is dissection of aorta and arterial bleeding, especially for demarcation of vessels. This is very important. 3 days back, one gynecologist died because of this dissection of aorta in Bhopal. And ultrasound, we were not able to detect with ultrasound, and it was diagnosed with CT abdomen. So this is transverse or axial scan of the abdomen showing the arterial phase. Late arterial phase, the films are taken 20 seconds after bolus injection of giving the bolus dose of contrast, particularly for hypervascular lesions, stomach, bowel, pancreas, parenchyma, spleen, for outer cortex of kidney. Hepatic phase. Films are taken after 60 seconds, almost about 1 minute, for enhancement of the hepatic parenchyma, especially for liver cyst, liver abscess, metastatic lesion in the liver. Nephrogenic phase, after taking the bolus contrast, 80 seconds. Nephrogenic phase, for especially renal tumors. Delayed phase, after giving the bolus injection, 6 minutes, particularly for fibrotic lesions, detection of liver cholangiocarcinoma, fibrotic metastasis, transitional cell carcinoma in kidney. Right upper border, without contrast. On the right side of this, this is arterial phase, below portal phase, and then below is delayed phase in transverse or axial scan. Now, when to give oral contrast, which is very important, and oral contrast usually give for detection of gut pathology. It opacifies the small bowel, and this make it easier to distinguish normal bowel from pathological lymph nodes or other mesenteric masses or calcification lesions. So again, on the left side we can see that without contrast, and on the right side we can see with contrast. Arrow indicating the contrast in the gut. We have already discussed regarding the sagittal view, coronal view, axial view, as well as transverse view. So upper transverse view or axial view. Below on the left side we can see the coronal view. On the right side we can see the sagittal view, half of the body. So 64 slice CT gives better results because the slice thickness is very minimum, 0.5 mm thickness. And nowadays 256 slice CT as well as 320 slice are coming in medical fields, and these CTs are particularly useful for virtual colonoscopy, sigmoidoscopy, upper GI scopies. Now, how to interpret these CT scan films? Read the information on the CT scan. At least we should know that we are observing the right film, right patient. Now, our left is patient right, our right is patient left. This is transverse view, and we are looking at the patient lying on their back from the feet first perspective when viewing from axial images. Means that will be anterior, this will be the posterior. Always begin cranially and gradually move towards the feet side caudally. Assess structure from superficial to deep. First analyze tissue of abdominal wall and then progress to internal structure. This is very important. In initial, when we try to read the CT, try to follow one organ, and scrolling should be done. Track it through entire sequence. With experience, follow organ that line in same transfer plane. This is very important. CT abdomen. Like scrolling, I am going to do this. This is called scrolling. Okay. So this is the again transverse or axial view. What is this? Pointer. Yes, what is this? Aorta. Next, what is this? Just identify the organ. Yes, right lobe of liver. Okay. What is this? No, this is not gallbladder. Batao. This is portal vein. Next. What is this? Try to identify this. This is basically this transverse or axial plane is taken at the base of thorax, base of the thorax. So for ideal CT, one should take the slice from the lower part of the chest. So we should include the diaphragm as well as the base of the these things. Here we can see the right right lung, left lung. Okay. Or back up. 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 Okay, go ahead. What is this structure? Yes. Very good. What? Yes, what is this? Aorta. Next, what is this? Just identify the organ. Yes, right lobe of liver. Okay. What is this? No, no, this is not gallbladder. Batao. This is portal vein. Next. What is this? Try to identify this. This is basically this transverse or axial plane is taken at the base of thorax, base of the thorax. So for ideal CT, one should take the slice from the lower part of the chest. So we should include the diaphragm as well as the base of the these things. Here we can see the right right lung, left lung. Okay. Or back up, back up. Or back up. Or back up. Or back up. Or back up. Up. Okay, go ahead. What is this structure? Yes. Very good. Basically, this is the stomach. We can see the free gas inside the stomach, and this is contrast. Now we can see this azygous vein as well as hemiazygous vein. These two small white just below, just around the aorta. So this is azygous vein as well as hemiazygous vein. Now this is an excellent image of the right, middle and left hepatic veins draining into the IVC. You can very well appreciate. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next. This is the stomach. This is right lobe of liver, left lobe of liver. Okay. Go ahead. This is caudate. This is caudate lobe. Yeah. Right lobe of liver, left lobe of liver, we can see the hepatic veins, aorta, vertebra. What is this structure? Yes. Yeah, this is the spleen. Now more portal veins branching to the liver lobes. Next. Now this is the splenic hilum. This is showing the splenic artery as well as splenic vein. Okay. Next. Splenic artery as well as vein. Now what is this structure? Just suppose that air-filled. No, basically this is a small gut. A small gut. I will show the picture of transverse colon. Okay. So right lobe, left lobe, spleen, splenic hilum. Next. Yes. What is this structure? This is pancreas. Head, body, tail. Okay. What is this structure? Yes. This is superior mesenteric artery arising from the aorta. Now coming to this structure. What is this structure? Yes. Basically this is right colon. Could be ascending colon, part of ascending colon. We can see the fecolith as well as the gas inside the lumen of the colon. Okay. What is this structure? Small gut, yes. And now that we can see that new structures are coming in our view. This is kidney, right kidney as well as left kidney. And now this structure is disappearing. What is this? Spleen. Okay. Next. Right and left kidneys. We can very well appreciate the pancreatic head. Yes, this is pancreatic head. And what is this structure? This is structure. Yeah. Yeah, these are the muscles around the spines, erector spinae as well as quadratus lumborum. Okay. Now we can see that this structure is disappearing. Yeah. Back. Back. Yeah. This is lower pole of the spleen. A small gut, aorta, right kidney, left kidney.
Segments of liver in the earlier, because they describe in terms of segments. Segment is containing justice or segment is containing module of meningioma. Segments of liver. So in the earlier picture, if you can throw some light on segment like you said, caudate lobe. In place,
I will demonstrate in upcoming slides. I am having these slides. Okay. Next. Now, this is the transverse color. Okay. So necklace-like appearance in the skygram, in the CT films. This is transverse color. Okay. These are the small bowel with contrast. Next. Yes. These are the psoas muscles. And here we can see that aorta bifurcates into common iliac arteries. And here we can see this is somewhere cecum, IC junction, and this is the appendix. Here, what you want? This is the bifurcation of aorta, common iliac, right as well as left common iliac. Next. So there will be a hypotense area in the psoas. Tomorrow morning I have seen one patient. There was a hypotense area in the right side. Yes. So this is with label. Yes. So this is IVC. Okay. This is aorta. We can compare with this gyrus vein as well as hemigyrus vein, starting from this. These are the bases of the lungs. Spleen. This is fundus of the stomach, showing contrast with air. That is the cardiac regions, right ventricle as well as left ventricle. Okay. This is right liver. Next. Again, liver, right ventricle. Now we can see the fundus of the stomach with contrast, with air. We can see the spleen. We can see the right lung as well as left lung bases. Okay. We can see the ribs. These are the ribs. And the uppermost pass is the sternum. Okay, next. Again same, right lobe of liver, fundus of stomach, spleen, aorta. Okay, now we can see the crus of the diaphragm also. You can appreciate this is the right crus of the diaphragm as well as left crus of the diaphragm. Yes, right crus of diaphragm as well as left crus of diaphragm. Next. Again, gyrus vein, hemiazygous vein, aorta, spleen, stomach, liver. Right crus of diaphragm, left crus of diaphragm. Okay. Next. This is IVC. This is IVC. Hepatic veins are draining in the IVC. Next. Back at the caudate lobe, sir. Yeah, this is.
segments like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, that I am not prepared, sir. In next Rontajan we will cover it. Okay, next. Now we can see the triangular structure just above the kidney. संतोष इसमें आना है, हम उसके ऊपर आना है इसके ऊपर. These are the adrenal or below आना नीचे. These are the or below आना. ये right triangular structure. This is right suprarenal. On left side, left suprarenal. Yeah, on the left side, this is left suprarenal. Okay, now we can see the gallbladder. Yeah, this is gallbladder. Next. So gallbladder, pancreas, we can see that. Yeah, this is pancreas, gallbladder. Yeah. Next. Now we can see the right kidney as well as left kidneys. Okay. We can see the celiac trunk arising from the aorta. Here, this is celiac trunk arising from the aorta. So we can see the portal vein, stomach, gases. Now we can see that the size of the liver is decreasing because we are going from cranially to caudally. Next. These are the colon, stomach, right kidney, left kidneys. Next. Now we can see the remnant of the spleen. We can see that the spleen is disappearing. Okay, and even the lobe of liver, that it is also disappearing. Now we can see the this ureteric, right kidney as well as left kidney. This will be the area for ureteric opening. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Okay. Right kidney, left kidney. Next. Okay. The size of the liver is decreasing. Now we cannot see the spleen. We can see the small gut filled with contrast. We can see the ascending colon. Okay, next. Next. Again, transverse colon. Okay, now we can see that sauce has started appearing. Yes, these are the sauce. Next. Next. Yeah. Okay. This is bifurcation of aorta. Okay. Next. Now the contrast is diminishing from the aorta. Next. Okay. Now we cannot see the liver. Okay. So we can see the small bowel, psoas muscles, vertebra. Okay. Next. 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 Again, we can see the small bowels. Now, yeah, this is descending colon. Again, this is descending colon. Now we can see next. Right ureter as well as upper ureter. Back. Right ureter as well as left ureter. Yes. Radiopaque, yeah. This is the nephrogenic phase of the CT abdomen. So this was all about how to identify the organ, which is very important. As a clinician, basically we are not radiologists, but we should know, try to identify the organs, and we can correlate with pathology. So this was an introductory presentation on CT scan of the abdomen. Thank you very much. And the take home points is always practice and more practice. Thank you very much. Next.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we must proceed to the lunch. After lunch, we have one presentation left. That is CT scan brain.
Okay, yeah, next. Yeah. Okay, right kidney, left kidney. Next. Okay. The size of the liver is decreasing. Now we cannot see the spleen. We can see the small gut filled with contrast. We can see the ascending colon. Okay, next. Next. Again, transverse colon. Okay, now we can see that sauce has started appearing. Yes, these are the sauce. Next. Next. Yeah. Okay. This is bifurcation of aorta. Okay. Next. Now the contrast is diminishing from the aorta. Next. Okay. Now we cannot see the liver. You can see the small bowel, psoas muscles, vertebra. Okay, next. 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 Again, we can see the small bowels. So, yeah, this is descending colon. Yeah, this is descending colon. Now we can see next. Right ureter as well as upper ureter. Back. Right ureter as well as left ureter. Yes. Yeah. This is the nephrogenic phase of the CT abdomen. So this was all about how to identify the organ, which is very important. As a clinician, basically we are not radiologists, but we should know, try to identify the organs, and we can correlate with pathology. So this was an introductory presentation on CT scan of the abdomen. Thank you very much. And the take home points is always practice and more practice. Thank you very much. Next.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we must proceed to the lunch. After lunch, we have one presentation left, that is CT scan brain.
Okay. And initially, few years back it was available, but last 10 years it was not available, and they have come up with a new formulations. And this is the pathogenesis of how the adhesions they form, and it is because of the injury to the peritoneum. There will be bleeding, there will be inflammation, activation of the fibrocytes. It will lead to fibrosis, it will lead to thrombosis, and ultimately which is going to form the adhesions. So this is the pathogenesis of adhesion formations. And as a surgeons, we are always afraid of adhesions because it will lead to many problems to our patients, particularly in post-operative patients. These are the adhesions, particularly in the pelvic cavities. So they have come up with Oxyflex AP, and it is available. It is a gel-like material. No refrigeration is required, and is a synthetic material, and it is very simple to use this material. And while doing laparoscopic surgery, we can infiltrate this gel-like material in the pelvic cavity, particularly where we have done the surgery, where we are expecting that adhesions will form. So it is a gel-like structure which has to be spread over this probable sites of adhesions. Because it is gel in consistency, it doesn't spread. It's a non-inflammatory, allows normal healing, it is absorbable, and it can be used in the presence of blood. So now we can see this animated videos that there will be no adhesion formations as per the claim of company. So recently they have launched this product and cost is around 35,000 rupees per application. 220 ml. So it will be 40 ml, 35,000. So cost is a little bit high, but there is no way. Pardon? In pelvis? Yeah, we can use it because pardon? We can use in pelvic cavity, but the chances of adhesions formations are always more in pelvic cavity. Especially for infertility patients.
These are the surgeries.
These are the choice for endometriosis after myomectomy, hysterectomy, adenolysis, ovarian surgery, tubal surgery, cystectomies, other peritoneal surgery. So this was all about Oxyplex EP, our sponsors today. Thank you very much.
Inviting all of you.
Hello, Pan.